Hey, Kevon here. So right now, I am making a really big product decision in my business. So for a long time, I've been thinking about whether I should move away from running a cohort-based course to doing something more like, a year-long learning program. There are so many pros and cons to each model. So that's why I've been thinking about it. In this video, I want to kind of walk you through the limitations of the cohort-based model and also how I picture the new learning program to be, at least 10 times better than the old program. But obviously, I'm still thinking about it, so everything is still in the process. If you have any feedback, comments, or questions, they are super welcome. I prefer building with you instead of just building everything alone and in my head. So this is why I'm making this video. All right, first thing first, I think we should talk about the limitations of a cohort-based course. Limitation 1, time commitment. Of course, when we're talking about a cohort-based course, it's usually like 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, or 8 weeks. So from a student standpoint, right, they need to figure out whether they have that time to be fully immersed in a cohort-based course. And to be frank, after running like 9 cohorts right now, I see that maybe only a small portion of people actually would be willing to pour out that much time, basically like 4 to 5 hours, maybe live time. And then you need to do a bit of homework. So it can easily be like 6 or 7 hours a week. So not a lot of people actually have that time. So by running a cohort-based course, while you're able to get a lot of momentum and buzz together, but the downside is that a lot of people actually need to be a bit more flexible about the schedule. And from a course creator standpoint, that is really hard because it means that your demand is pretty much chopped up into small portions. And also, if you're running your cohort maybe 3 to 4 times a year, then it means that it's not on all the time, right? So the students have to think about, hey, do I have time in May? Oh, actually, I'm really busy in May. Then they would not be able to join the cohort. And the next time is maybe August, and they need to think about, can I join in August? No, things are crazy. So they basically just keep saying no to the latest cohort. Limitation 2 is student success. So I love to talk about the success of the students because that's actually the most important metric for a course creator or instructor. When I think about it, in a 4-week cohort, we are looking for a transformation in exactly 4 short weeks. So the biggest question is, how many people can actually make a ton of progress in the 4 weeks, especially when they're super busy? So the answer is probably not that many. And when I think about it, I feel like learning shouldn't be limited to just 4 short weeks. I feel like if we can expand the time frame a bit longer, then more students are able to achieve that transformation. But of course, I'm not talking about like a year long because usually people lose motivation when it's that long. Limitation 3 is the one-off operations. I think a lot of cohort-based course creator would agree with me here because I know as you run more and more cohorts, things can be systemized and streamlined so it gets easier. But still, when you're running this kind of cohort courses, there's still a lot of things that you need to just do one-off. Like, for example, preparing a student list so that you can track their progress. Like, for example, setting up some accounts and stuff. And, each enrollment window is new. So you need to do all those work to promote for it. And then you need to do a free event leading up to the enrollment window. Like all these things, yeah, it can get to a point where you can get assistance or get help outside, but still there's only so much you can delegate. If you care about the students, there will be a lot of one-off work. Limitation number 4 is the high price. When you are doing a cohort, there's so many work involved in the process to make it really good. So it makes sense to charge a high price because you have to justify the effort as well. But then when I think about whether I'm making my learning accessible to more people, I feel like that's not really the case because a cohort-based course is only catering for a certain kind of people with a certain kind of budget. Then is there a way I can open up the framework so that people can enjoy it? Because I really believe that my build in public framework is good for people. So is there a way to tweak the program so that we can lower the price? That's something I'm thinking about. All right, so far we've been talking about limitations. I, of course, think about how I can build a 10 times better program if I have all the resources in the world. Number one is I imagine students are able to learn at their own pace. So by putting them in a cohort with live workshops, live interaction, we are trying to streamline their pace, but honestly, it doesn't work that way. So I imagine a program where everyone can set their ideal pace and they still get a lot out of it. Number two is I really want the students to be doing more than learning. So of course, when we take online courses, most of the time we're just watching video lessons, right? Watching, consuming, digesting. I don't believe that's the best way to learn. That's why for all the video courses I put out there, I always try to make it actionable, like suggested exercise so that they can just take it step by step. Same case here. If they're learning building in public, I really want them to just keep going out and build in public instead of okay, this is the framework to tell your story. No, it shouldn't be like that. So I start picturing if there's a way I can get them to do more instead of learn more. Number three is a longer time frame. So I already talked about that, but I started imagining if there's a way to give them more than 4 weeks of accountability, content, support. I think they would really benefit a lot from this. Number four, bring in someone else other than Kevon to run this. Well, as you know, I have a young family. I have 2 daughters, and I'm trying to grow the business at the same time. So after doing this for 2.5 years, I thought about, how can I grow this business, grow this program outside of Kevon? And it's possible. I think so far I'm holding everything so close to me because I'm just afraid that someone might not be able to run it. But in the last cohort, my good friend Arvin, who was a student of the cohort and then became my assistant, he proved to me that someone else can also run this. So from my imagination, right, it doesn't mean that someone else is teaching the program. But then there are a lot of things in the program that Arvin or someone else can probably help me with. So that would be a big plus to my family, to my health, and to the business. Number 5, accessibility. As I talked about that, I really imagine just more and more people to learn this framework so then we can make the online world a better place, more transparent, more helpful, more honesty, more amazing products because we're listening to people's feedback. I really want that to happen. I don't know if it can, but that's my kind of dream. So far, I've talked about the limitations of the current cohort-based course model. And then I talked about my dreams, my imagination. So now is time to me to get back on my working desk and try to bridge the gap and figure out the new design of this Building Public Mastery learning program. The program design that I'm thinking about is actually not new. We've been seeing this everywhere. But here's how I think about it. So first, of course, there's the course side where it's for learning. People come in here, learn all the concepts. There will be well-designed exercise to guide them through. And then on the other side, there will be a community where people can be here to get support, can get the connections, can get interactions, but most importantly is where the execution is happening. Now let's dive a little deeper into the course side. Well, over the years, I've been teaching about building in public. And you know what? My teaching actually evolved. I've been showing people how to open up on day one. And then now I'm actually showing them how to build the buzz around a launch by building in public the whole way. So definitely there are so many different contents that I can teach. So the way I think about it is that there's a level 1 where it is basically the 6 fundamental modules covering how to overcome that social media fear, how to tell your stories, how to involve your audience in the building process, right? This is what I have been teaching in the cohort. So obviously all the lessons have to be super actionable. I actually have to redesign them because right now they are more suitable for live workshops where students get into groups and then they do it through, right? But if it's self-paced, that means they need to do it themselves. So I need to redesign that. And then I'm thinking about a level 2 course, which is more focusing on launching a product with buzz, with raving fans, because that's something that I discovered over the years, and I think it is super interesting. So you have level 1 and then level 2. And now that it is a self-paced course, I imagine students can just pay a fixed fee and then they can get all the materials, all the exercise, and of course, lifetime access to them, and then they can just do it. All right, now we're going to the community side, which is a lot more dynamic and actually more fun to talk about. Okay, so the key part about a community is accountability, right? So we used to have this like build in public challenge for 30 days inside the cohort. But from what I observe and also feedback from the students, I realize it's much better for a new student to just learn all the materials and do the implementation first, and then they move into this build in public challenge. So the idea is to run the build in public sprint maybe like 4 times a year, so that we're all coming together, we're building something new for our business, and we define a goal, and then we just keep showing up and talking about it, so that we can grow our community and traction that way. So if you think about it, it's sort of like having a mini cohort inside a community. So not as intensive as a full-on 4-week cohort, but something good enough to get the group together to have those spirits and motivation. And of course, like in the community, we'll have like office hours, co-working hours, social hours, and then we'll have a bunch of resources like templates, checklists, swipe files, just available for the members to grab and use. And then there's this one thing I think that is quite valuable to the community, which is, I'm constantly learning new things. So I'll be creating a lot of new materials and I'll be sharing my thought process, which is like this video, and then I can share it back to the community, because I feel like we're all doing the same thing, but we're kind of on a different step. So by sharing this with the members, I feel like we all get to learn a lot from each other. Lastly, of course, a community should be focusing on, how the members are collaborating for their growth. So right now in the cohort, I already see a lot of students are helping each other out in their products, in the way they show up on Twitter or social media, but we're just kind of removing the cohort limitation, but making this available for the community. And of course, I've told you so many things that I'm designing in the community. So with that, it is important that would become like a membership model, so that if people are serious about taking action, getting support, then they will have to pay like a recurring fee. All right, wow. I've talked a lot about my design so far. Well, I hope you are enjoying this video. Again, nothing is set in stone. So if you have any feedback, if you're interested in this, but you're thinking, oh, Kevon, what about this and that? Then definitely let me know. I would love to hear from you. So again, this video, I'm sharing some thought process, my design process. I hope that because you're building maybe something similar, so then it can help you build your own thing as well. All right, I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.